So welcome to Talkin 360. I'm Tony Scott, and with me is Coach Shaquan Tabb-Grove, who is a life coach, and she has a website called A House to Love, where she writes some pretty interesting blogs, and I actually read one that kind of struck a nerve with me from a lot of different perspectives, and it was about why she chose to live with her husband before they got married.
Yes.
Yeah, and she brought up some good points. But I did the same thing. I lived with my wife for 8 years before I married her. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. But let me just say welcome to Shaquan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. Your blog really touched some people. I read some of the comments, and it's interesting because I like I said, I lived with my wife for 8 years. Biggest mistake I ever made, because I should have married her. I should have married her a long time ago. I mean, Olivia should be in her mid-20s by now, but she's only 18. So my second oldest daughter. But and the reason why I say it, and let me just have full disclosure, my oldest daughter, AJ, who's 29, and she just had a baby, my second grandson, and she lives with her guy.
Okay.
How do you
feel about that?
I'm not happy about it, but she's 29. She has to live her life, right? Yeah. But as a father, no, I'm not happy about it. And I'm sure that my late father-in-law, may he rest in peace, probably wasn't really happy about his daughter living with me, right? And I say this, now, all things being equal, it probably is a fine thing. But usually, if it doesn't work out and people go their separate ways, it's the woman who actually gets the raw end of the deal. Things that she has put in their name, he's just going to leave her with that, And it happens, and that's my concern. Why now? In your case, you were saying some of the things because your parents were not happy at all about it.
No, my mom, and let me say this first: my parents absolutely fell in love with my husband the first time that they met him. So that was one of the keys. Like, okay, this could really work. This is a good sign. Mm-hmm. So when I told my mom that I was moving out, she went in. Mm-hmm. She was just, he's never going to marry you, and that isn't going to work. And why would you do that? Mm-hmm. And, it was kind of a blow. I expected her to have a reaction, but she really took me to the, like, okay, you're going to be his living girlfriend for the rest of your life.
Right. And it's understandable. Now, your daddy's girl, and your dad, you broke his heart. He's disappointed.
He was. So my dad is not a man of many words. So he didn't give me the talk, but he's just like, okay, you know.
But you could tell he didn't like it, though.
Yeah. I could tell.
But you did it anyway.
I did it anyway.
Because you have to live your life?
Absolutely. I think when I go back and I think about it, I think the three main reasons that I could say, number one, I felt that I was disrespecting my parents coming in and out of the house. At the time, my husband was living home with his mother, and he's like, okay, it's time for me to go. I can't live in my mom's basement any longer. He had been there since he graduated from college, so he kind of got that, that first step foot out the door type of push. Yeah. He's like, okay, it's time for me to go. So he asked me, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to move out too. And he's like, okay, well, we can do this. He's like, but I want to let you know I'm going to move out with or without you. So we can either do this together, or, you can just come over and shack up like you've been doing at my mom's house. And I'm like, that feeling of walking through the door the next morning.
The walk of shame?
The walk of shame. Either the same clothes I had on the night before, or some of his clothes, like his oversized T-shirt.
Right.
And my dad's getting ready to go to work, and I'm walking in, I'm like, good morning. He's just like, good morning. And my mom is just like, ah. So that whole sense of disrespecting their household and knowing their rules, like they never said that I had permission to stay out overnight, but it was that
unwritten rule, right?
It was. And so I thought, okay, well, I don't want to disrespect them any longer. Financially, I had just graduated from college, and I wasn't in a position to move out on my own. So I thought, okay, didn't want to disrespect my parents. Financially, we could, come together as forces and only have to be responsible for one household. And if I'm really honest about it, I think the main reason was my husband had fulfilled that missing piece of me that I that I had longed for so long in a man. So he fulfilled that mental, that physical, that spiritual, and I wanted that.
Okay.
And so I felt that living under one roof would give me that sense of fulfillment.
So I'm thinking as a father, and now if you'd have told me this, I'd have said, well, then why don't you respect the rules of the house and save up your money to get your own place? Why you got to move out now and move in with him? You could get your own place, be your own kind of woman, and until you do that, just respect the rules of the house. What's the hurry? That's as a father, that's my thing, right?
Okay.
You know, my wife, we lived together, but she refused to have children until I put a ring on it.
Okay.
Right? That was her thing, yeah. Right? And we never even really talked about having children while we were living together. It wasn't towards the very end when I decided that, you know what, I want to get married. I want my life to evolve to this point. So, but I just think it's a huge mistake for a woman to do. And I say that as a father. I say that as someone who lived with a woman. I say that as my daughter living with a man, because I know that during the 8 years I lived with my wife, if we would have broken up, it would have been a disaster for her. She's from California. She had no family here. She had really, that kind of deal. It had been just rough. She didn't make the money that she could probably sustain herself at the level that she was living at the time.
Right.
You know? So those are the things, those are the reasons why, Shaquan, that I say that it's a mistake for a woman to live with a man. A man to live with a woman, that's one thing. From a man's perspective. Because a man, if he's going to be able to survive more times than not, a woman more times than not probably is not going to. So I say that it's a bad deal, and I say that looking out for my daughters.
Okay, so is it that a man coming to live, a woman having her own space, and a man coming to live with her? That's what you're saying is
no. I'm talking about moving in together. No, a man moving into a woman's place. Nah, come on, man. That's like episode, right? Yeah. Let's get that clear. But I mean, to me, it's like the woman doesn't get the good end of that, right?
Okay, so let me say this for me and from my experience. I did not move in with my husband with the intention that he would marry me sooner or that he would propose. Now, I think that some cases, some women use that as a mechanism to say, hey, well, maybe this will make him want to push, and kind of get married a little sooner. Same way with the whole having the baby, but that's also a different episode. So, that was never my intention. I knew that we were on the right path. It felt right. I was safe, secure. Not that he gets a pass for being responsible, but it was different from what I had ever experienced in a relationship before. So it was more of a feeling like we can grow together and we can get a feel of how it would be happily ever after. But it wasn't I'm doing this so he'll see that I'll make a good wife and he'll marry me.
So was moving in together at the beginning when you guys decided to do this, was marriage ever on the table from either one of your perspectives?
We talked about that from the beginning. Going into the relationship, I told him I've dated horribly. So what I'm looking for is this, and I eventually want to be married, and I eventually want to have children. So we moved in together. Let's see, we didn't move in together until about 2 years after we started dating. So it wasn't an immediate jump. I felt that we knew each other well enough to be making such a decision. After getting there, that's when things kind of started to come full circle. We learned a lot about each other. As a woman,
I read some of that stuff. It
was little stuff. The whole water's running,
the
and
skim milk, and the clothes, the pants over the door, and you have to read her blog. I'll put a link in the show notes down below for it so you can read it. But it's funny in a way, but in a way, it's symptomatic to how things can blow up and how things can be a deal breaker. And so. What's the deal with if you clearly your parents were not happy about this,
right?
Did because everybody always says honoring your mother and father, as it says in the Bible, did that play into this at all?
It did. I'm a Christian, and I know what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
I broke that rule.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Shaquan's go to help. She's going to help. Go to.
So yeah, I did. Ooh, it was a tough decision because of my Christian upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
but I still felt that I had to follow my heart. I was more emotionally led. The decision was more emotionally led, but I still felt like I considered some things. What I will say that it put me in a position to do a lot of compromising and a lot of sacrificing. And as a woman, you in that situation, you really do give up more than you should. The man really does get the better end of the deal.
Aha! Aha!
It does. I will give you that. It does. We were comfortable. He was comfortable. I made life easy. On the return, which is my whole portion of the it wasn't free milk, it allowed him the opportunity to see things that he had to do to step up to be a man and thinking future wise. So while I'm sure that he didn't have as much sacrifice and compromise, and you've met my husband before, I'm sure that he would have something to say about that. But it was a lesson. And I never got to the point of feeling like, okay, when is he going to marry me? We never got to that point. So,
well, who brought it up? Let's get married. Who brought it up?
Again, we had talked about it, and he told me that from his perspective as a man, the ring was a gift. I was not privy to picking anything out or giving me my opinion. It was a gift, and he told me it would never be on a day that I would expect, no birthdays, no holidays. It would happen when it was time. And I was comfortable with that. I honestly never got into okay, we've been together 3 years. We've been together 4 years, because we were able to really work together and create a strong foundation that would, I believe, really led us into the first years of marriage, where we didn't have some of the challenges that that couples, I would say, seemingly or typically may experience.
Okay. So let's wrap up here, and let me ask you, you got two beautiful little boys.
Yes, thank you.
So if you had a daughter,
ooh,
would you feel the same way?
So I would advise her, from having the experience, I would tell her, right now, you probably don't know who you are. And it will take certain experiences for you to get to that point. Make the decision now based on good intentions, and don't go into it with false pretenses. I would advise her not to do it because she's trying to rush things, that she's trying to change him, or that she's trying to be superwoman, to make him believe that she's wifey material.
What if she tells you, I just don't want to break the house rules?
I would say, well, you have to make a choice. And if your choice is to step out and do this so that you're the decision maker, the choice maker of your own household, then you'll have to do that. You know, assuming that there's no unhealthy things going on within the relationship, I would say it's not the best thing to do for some of the reasons that I said, but I would have to respect her decision because I did the same thing.
So I got into this debate on the radio show one time. For those who don't know, listening outside of town, outside of St. Louis, I do a radio show. We talk about a lot of different things. And I said one time on the radio that if my daughter lived with a guy and they decided to get married and he came to ask me for her hand, I would tell him, what the hell are you asking me now for?
Really? Why is that?
Why? You already live together. You already got her hand and her feet and her legs and her hips and you got it. What are you asking me now? Y'all living together. Well, don't ask me now. That's
but
how
there's still a level of respect there.
The respect has been gone. You moved in with my daughter. I mean, come on. Don't ask me a stupid question. And people were like, the guys were like, that's right. And the women were like, you're old fashioned. Well, and then somebody said, well, it's tradition to do that. But it's not tradition to live with somebody and then get married. That's not tradition.
It's not. But I would have been very disappointed had my husband not gone to speak to my parents. And it's funny, he did. And they were, of course, accepting and gave their blessing. And when it came time to plan the wedding, I'm like, well, Dad, the bride's parents are supposed to pay for the majority. And I started going down the list. We were actually reading a book, and it was we were on page 5 and page 6. And I'm like, Dad, read page 5, and it tells you everything that the bride's parents are supposed to take care of.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm reading 6. So we kept going back and forth. And then there's this little paragraph on page 6 that says, in the case that the bride has not lived in her parents' house prior to the engagement, then the parents are no longer responsible to pay. I'm like, no, rip that out of the book.
That's the deal. No. You've already been there. You're already there. You don't need my help anymore. Why should I pay for something? You guys are already living on. What's to pay for? Pay for your own damn wedding. You're living together.
Absolutely not. No. So let me ask you this. So AJ comes to you, and her boyfriend comes and he asks for your blessing. Let's just say you were having a great day and you say yes. And so she comes to you and she says, so, I need your help. Are you going to tell her no?
Probably.
You would not.
Probably because you guys are already there. You guys are already there. How long did you live together, Shaquan, before you married your husband? How many years?
We lived together, let me think. We lived together 3 years.
Okay, before you got married. I lived with my wife for 8 years before we got married, and I didn't ask her father a damn thing because I just figured, why ask her? She's been here for 8 years. If I ask him, that's an end.
So you didn't ask for her hand in marriage?
No, I didn't ask for her hand in marriage. We just said, you know what? I said. And it's a long story, but bottom line, it says, maybe we should get married because, we've been together a long time, and I want to move into the next phase of my life with you. And, it was a whole thing but I didn't ask. I invited him.
So how would you feel now if AJ's boyfriend didn't ask you, or Olivia's boyfriend, or Maria's boyfriend? What would you feel if they didn't come and they made the decision to move out?
Yeah, don't ask me. Don't ask
you
me.
Like the guy. Don't bring that up.
No, don't ask me. Don't ask me. No, I'm not talking to you. I'm saying the situation. Don't ask me.
Oh, really? You don't want the guy to ask you?
If they're living together, no. You're already living together. Well, what's the point? Tradition? No, because the tradition is you live at home until you get married. So don't get it twisted. You can't have it both ways. Either you live at home and he comes and asks me for your hand in marriage, or you move out, live with him, and then you get married. Don't come around asking me if I can I have your daughter's hand? You done had her ass. What are you talking about? Get out of here, man. I'm not doing that.
I still think it's still. I mean, some traditions are still.
But those traditions are tied together.
Let me think about this. So possibly yes. But there's still some level as a father, and I'm only speaking from what I'm assuming my father felt. I think that it possibly could have gone on for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. Everyone that lives together does not result in a proposal in a marriage.
True.
Let's be clear on that.
Let's be clear.
So for some aspect of it, I think that, again, in my situation, they really, really loved my husband, really liked my husband, and ended up accepting the situation. So when he came to them, it said, I have greater intentions for your daughter. I don't intend to just make her my live-in for the rest of our lives. So although we've stepped out of tradition and we took a step, for them, they were able to see how we were able to grow and to build a foundation. And now we want to put something on. I want to put a rock on that foundation and continue to build a future. It's more of what it said. So yeah, he had already disrespected them from, snatching up their daughter.
Yeah. But see, I don't see. To me, it's like you've already been there, man. You've been there already. So you guys are living together. So it's like, don't ask me now. Don't ask me now. That's just me. That's just me. Maybe some guys feel that way. And understand, let me just say this for anybody who's watching this. If you did everything opposite of what I'm saying, I don't hate you. I don't condemn you. I don't think you're less of a person. I think you're great. I'm talking about from my perspective and from a lot of men's perspective, I would imagine. I'm not condemning you or putting you down in any way, shape, or form. If you're happy, I'm happy for you. God bless you. But my daughters, I can't stop them from moving in with a guy. I cannot stop them. They know how I feel. But if they choose to do that, that's fine. But don't come to me 2-3 years later and say he wants to ask, excuse me, sir, I want to ask for your daughter's hand. Man, please.
Really?
Yeah, that's you're already there. You're there. You're
you're not there. But see, here's the misconception though, because you don't want so you break the tradition and you break the rules, and you move in together, but that's not marriage. So
in some states it is though, Shaquan. Some states it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, for all intents and purposes, if you're sleeping together every day, waking up together every day, coming home, having dinner together, living like man and wife, then don't come ask me for her hand, man. You've already got her hand. Don't ask me for that. And don't ask me to pay for the wedding either. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. No, hell no. No. Page six. You know? And as a special surprise for Shaquan, we got her dad on the phone right now. Hello, Mr. How do you really feel about that, sir? No, man.
My dad, he was a softie for it, and
your daddy's girl. But I mean, trust me that alone and by himself, putting the car in the garage or taking the trash out or whatever, when the little moments, then he's like, man, that ain't what I wanted for her. I mean, because that's not what we want. We all want, and nothing against any man who's married to somebody's daughter. We all want our daughters to marry doctors and lawyers and CEOs. Yeah. You know, we that's what we want for our children.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. we want our sons to marry virgins. Right? We do. I mean, we do. But that's just how we are. We're like that, you know, and that's why, to me, a woman shouldn't live with a man. But you got to read the blog though, because her blog it brings up some great questions and some good comments there. Like I said, I'll put it in the show notes down below so you can I'll link you to it. You can read it yourself and leave a comment.
Yes.
Agree or disagree? We agree to disagree. I think
absolutely
we do, but we have ridiculous amount of respect for each other.
Tell the girls to call me when they get ready to make the decision. I can coach them through on how to
deal with me. Yeah, there you go. That is Coach Shaquan Tabb-Grove. She is a life coach. Her website is ahousetolove.com. Also, I think CoachShaquan.com.
Yes, CoachShaquan.com for the coaching aspect, life purpose, and relationship coach. Check me out.
All right.
Follow me on Twitter. We're on Twitter at ahousetolove.com. We're on Facebook at A House to Love. We're on Pinterest at A House to Love. Coach Shaquan, that's my personal site, CoachShaquan.com. I'm on Twitter as Coach Shaquan, Facebook as Coach Shaquan, Instagram is Coach Shaquan. Anything Coach Shaquan, you can find me.
That's just right there. She's everywhere. She's worldwide, y'all. She's worldwide. So there you go. Well, Shaquan, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. All right.
Take care.
You too. Thanks for watching Talkin 360. I'm Tony Scott. We'll see you next time.